Hey everyone, in the last video I talked about the recent changes that happened to Monk, and there were a couple of people that were interested in seeing what the rotation looks like now after we had those balance changes. Now, if you're asking for a rotation, I kind of expect you to know the basics of the class itself, but just in case you don't, I'm going to very briefly go over the basics of Monk in Dawntrail, and then I'll show off the rotation and talk a little bit about the different openers that we have and when you might want to use which one. So if you don't know the basics, I'll go into it right now. If you do know them, then I'll leave a timestamp in the video so you can just skip ahead to the rotation itself. So if you're unfamiliar with the Monk in Dawntrail, it's actually fairly straightforward. We have 6 GCDs when it comes down to our single target rotation. 3 of them are going to be filling the orbs on our job gauge. 3 of them are going to be consuming them. So you can see my job gauge over here at the bottom. Dragon Kick, Twin Snakes, and then we have Demolish are going to be filling our 3 sets of orbs. And then we have Leaping Oppo, Rising Raptor, and Pouncing Quarrel are going to be consuming them. So very straightforward. If you don't have an orb, use a skill that generates one. If you do have an orb, use a skill that consumes it. And that is all there is to it when it comes down to pressing our normal GCDs. The second aspect to Monk is the Masterful Blitz. This is going to be working together with the gauge that we can see on the top here. Now, to access this gauge, we need to use Perfect Balance. This is an off-global cooldown. And during Perfect Balance, we can generate basically 3 different kinds of Beast Chakra. Now you can see I have the same sticker 3 times over here. You get a sticker by executing a skill in a specific form. Each form has its own sticker, and you basically want to do either 3 of the same, because that gives you Elixir Burst, which is this thing right here, or you execute 3 different ones, meaning you get 3 different stickers, because that is going to give you the Phoenix right here. Now, the reason why it's important that you do this is because 3 times the same chakra is going to open up the black ball on our gauge right here, and 3 different chakras is going to open up the white ball on our gauge instead. The reason why we want to have both of them is because when we then use our Perfect Balance a 3rd time, we are now going to get Phantom Rush, which is going to be our strongest Masterful Blitz that we can get. So you definitely want to build towards that. So that's the basics of Monk. You use your orb gaining skills if you don't have them. You use your orb spending skills if you do have them. When it comes down to the blitzes, 3 of the same, 3 different ones, so you get 2 of the orbs, and then once you have both orbs you can do whatever you want really, but 3 of the same is the most potent, so that you can use your Phantom Rush. Also, one thing to note is that after we use our Masterful Blitz, after we use Form Shift, which is this thing right here that we're going to do right before the opener, you can also do this after you come out of downtime or something like that, as well as Riddle of Fire's follow-up ability, Fire's Reply. Those are all going to give you this buff over here called Formless Fist. Now, Formless Fist allows us to execute any of our GCD actions without needing to be in the correct stance for them. The best way to spend this is on an Oppo GCD, so that means either on this thing right here, Leaping Oppo, or if we do not have an orb, on a Dragon Kick. So we're always going to be using a Dragon Kick or a Leaping Oppo after we get Formless Fist, and again, to repeat, we get that from our Masterful Blitz or from our Fire's Reply over here. So those are the basics of Monk. Let's then quickly reset all of my gauges so everything is back to 0 when we then go and talk about the openers. So there are 2 general openers. There is the one that is like the highest potency and highest potential opener, I guess you could say, when it comes down to the rotation, and there is the standard one. Now, the standard one is technically the high potency one, because unless you know the kill time of a fight, that is the opener you'll want to be using. Why is kill time important? Well, when we use the double lunar opener, as it is called, we're going to be executing the same Masterful Blitz twice, which is going to be our Elixir Burst. The reason why we do this is it will delay our Phantom Rush by 1 Perfect Balance usage, which means that our Phantom Rush now lands underneath our 2-minute raid buffs, where it will deal the most damage. The reason why you might not want to use this if, let's say for example, you kill the boss fight right before your 2 minutes come up, because that way you're going to be losing out on the usage of Phantom Rush, and you don't want that. So depending on kill time, use either the double lunar opener, because that is the most potency, or if double lunar makes you lose out on the usage of Phantom Rush, then you'll want to use lunar solar instead. But double lunar is the standard opener that you'll want to use when you don't know the specific kill time yet, so that is exactly what I'm going to be showcasing here today. So all my cooldowns have reset, so let's go ahead and hit the striking dummy. Of course, before you start the opener, two things you want to do. One, meditate, so you have all of your chakras, and then two, use Formless Fist, so that we can immediately start gaining orbs when we use our orb gaining skills. You do need to be in a form for that. So let's get started. We'll start with the Dragon Kick. We'll immediately send our Forbidden Chakra as well. After we gained all of our orbs, I'm going to be activating my raid buffs. Get myself another Formless Fist. There we go. Send the Wind Supply, spend the Fire Supply, spend the Formless Fist. Then we get our second Beast Chakra going over here. Send the second Elixir Burst, ogcd again, and now our burst has finished. So now when we are in our downtime phase, so to speak, we're just going to be looking at our job gauge and pressing the GCDs that correspond with whether or not we need to generate an orb, like so, or if we need to spend one, like so. So again, generate an orb, spend one. Need to generate my third stand, so we'll do that. Spend, generate, spend. And that is basically what we are going to keep doing until our 1 minute roll around. Now, when it comes down to the perfect balance usage, you'll always want to use perfect balance after an ogcd, aka after a quote-unquote combo starter GCD. Same thing with Fire Supply, boom, you can just send it immediately over there. And then here we'll want to create a Phoenix. So we'll do 3 different GCDs, and then we'll send the Phoenix right here. And then as you can see on the job gauge, I now have both a black and a white orb. So we are ready to send our Phantom Rush when we go into the 2-minute burst window. Right here, our Riddle of Wind is about to come up. This you just want to use on cooldown. There's no reason for you to hold this. This will naturally align with your 2 minutes again at the 6-minute mark. And it will also align with the 1-minute buffs at the 3-minute mark. So you'll just want to be using this, and then of course you can save it for a bit, or you can send it immediately depending on if you need it for uptime, yes or no. Then we're coming up on our 2-minute buffs right here. We have about second 7s left, so that means I can go ahead and use my perfect balance again after an ogcd. There we go. Start our buffs, send in Phantom Rush, use an ogcd, send Fire Supply, use an ogcd, second perfect balance, and then we have our Elixir Burst, and then we end the burst with another ogcd, and then again we are back to just doing the same old with generating gauge, or like generating the orbs for our gauge, and then spending them with the correct skills as well when we do already have the gauge. And that is basically how you play Monk in Dawntrail, or at least in patch 7.01. There might still be some changes coming when Savage rolls around, or later down the line of course. But this is how we are going to be playing Monk in our current patch from when this video goes live. So I'll do one more burst over here. You can see that my 1 minutes are rolling around. This time around this will also be with a Wind Supply, so we'll use Riddle of Wind here as well. So here we can start our perfect balance. 2 and 3, because we want to get 3 different ones, of course. I'm going to send my Wind Supply first, because that one's about to time out. There we go. And then we send our Fire Supply. And then we end it with a final ogcd. And I guess I can just keep going until we hit the 4-minute mark, so you can see the 2-minute burst window again as well. So as you can see, we have 2 charges on our Beast Chakra gauge, which means I can use my Phantom Rush. So I'm just going to be doing nothing but ogcds within the burst to send the Phantom Rush first, and then to send the Elixir Burst second. And the window at which you can use your perfect balance is essentially when you have about between 7 and less seconds left on Riddle of Fire. So as you can see, my Riddle of Fire had less than 7 left, or 7 seconds rather. So I can go ahead and send that. Perfect Blitz, or not Perfect Blitz. Phantom Rush, ogcd, Fire Supply, ogcd, second perfect balance, And then of course we can end it with an elixir burst and another ogcd. So there you go, that's how you play Monk in our current patch. If you have any more questions about that, then feel free to leave a comment down below and I'll try and help you out if I have the answers to what you are looking for. But for now, that's gonna do it for me, so I want to thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.